Yes. Eloma. So now I'd like to speak from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto. And this is teaching of a personality, his name Citraketu Maharaja. So Citraketu Maharaj, he was king and he had multitude of wives. So many wives. More than my grandfather, more than 13. If I tell you how many, you won't believe. So just leave it that he had many, many wives. Very traditional king. But all his wives were barren. They could not bear any children. Though he was potent, but he could not have any children. So one saint came by, his name was Narada Muni. And Citraketu Maharaj, he begged him. He said that my life is so miserable that though I have a big kingdom, I have so many wives, but I have no child. I have nobody who will carry on the kingdom after I'm gone. Please, you're a saint, you're a sadhu. You can help me. Please arrange that I'll have a child. Narada Muni said, you should understand that this is your karma. That this is the karma that you have to marry so many wives but not be able to have any children. That you should accept this and not try to change. Citraketu Maharaj, he continued, he said, please, I know that you can help me. So then, finally Narada Muni, he performed the yajna and he gave the prasad, the offering of that sacrifice. There was no blood, no offering of any live animal, etc. But when the wife took the food, the rice offering, then meeting with her husband, then she became pregnant. Narada Muni, he said that this child will give you suffering, and this child will also give you shok and duk, and happiness, suffering and happiness, and jubilation. He said, I don't mind. That if I have to undergo some jubilation because he's a naughty boy, some suffering because he's a naughty boy, I don't mind, but I want a son. In due course, the wife gave birth to a baby boy. And the king was ecstatic. The wife was ecstatic. But the co-wives, they became envious. That look, he's not looking at us anymore. That he's only giving attention to Krita Duty, the first wife who had the child. We're worse than servants now. So then they conspired and they gave poison to the baby. The nurse who was taking care of the child went to see, and thinking that the child was still sleeping. Actually, the wife thought the child was sleeping for so long and sent the nurse. And when the nurse went, saw the child completely limp, the eyes going up to the top, and the mouth open, and she screamed. The mother, hearing the scream, she came and she saw that her baby boy had died, and immediately she fell to the ground and she fainted. In this state, everybody started crying. Even the queens who gave the poison, they started to cry. It were fake tears. And then Narada Muni, he came back with another saint called Angira Rishi. So then, Narada Muni was spoken to by Maharaj Citraketu. Maharaj Citraketu, he asked him, he said, how is it that this son who has given me so much happiness, that now I am so much suffering? He said, I told you, he'll give you happiness, he'll give suffering. He said, please, You can do something. You can make the impossible possible. Narada Muni is such a powerful saint. He travels throughout the material and spiritual world. So, by his power, he can make somebody who's living, just by his glance, he can kill them. And by his glance, somebody who's dead, he can bring them to life. So he looked at the boy and he said, "Oh, you come back in the body." And the baby boy, the soul, re-entered the body. And Narada Muni said, "Look, your father and mother, they're crying so much. Everybody's crying. Why have you left your father and mother like this?" And then he said, "In this world of birth and death, where there's so many fathers and mothers, which father and mother are they? I've had so many births. So now, we're thinking that Joyce, that she is in this life, she's mother, wife, auntie. But in so many lives, she's had this position of mother. She's been father. She's been auntie. She's been child. In so many different lifetimes." He said, "Which lifetime are you talking about? You cannot say that this is my mother and father. Which lifetime? I've had so many." Then he started to explain. The little boy started to explain that you cannot say that I, the soul, that I am just part of this physical body. And then speaking like this, speaking the science of the soul, then Citraketu Maharaja, then he could understand that actually, that this situation, this material designation of being father, mother, black, white, American, Nigerian, that this only has to do with the body. And then Narada Muni, he spoke to him. He said that just like you have a flow of a river, and in that flow of the river, so many particles, they come together and then they part. In the same way, the soul comes together with so many different other particles of bodies and living entities, and they part. And this has gone on for so long, in time immemorial, that practically speaking, you have undergone every type of relationship in this world. Every type of good relationship, bad relationship, heinous activities, the soul has done them all. And why? As I was explaining earlier, due to attachment to this physical body, then one has to keep on coming back and back and back. When we come to funerals, then it's common to say, "Oh, the person has gone back to Goloka Vrindavan. The person has gone back to heaven." How possible when the person still has the material attachment? So Srimad Bhagavatam explains that one who's still materially attached to the body, that they're not qualified, they don't have the visa to enter into the kingdom of God. That how is it that in this body and the mind and the intellect, which is still full of material qualities, that all of a sudden that one will just give up and just go? There may be extraordinary situations where by the grace of the Lord, those who are Christians, by the grace of Jesus Christ, extraordinary, but not every funeral. Every time we hear, "Oh, they've gone back to the kingdom of God. They've gone back to Goloka Vrindavan." It is a polite way of saying. But my mother used to say one thing about me. She said, "You have a problem. You're too direct." She said, "This is your problem. You're too direct. You're not diplomatic. You have to learn a bit of diplomacy." But actually, Srimad Bhagavatam is not diplomatic. Srimad Bhagavatam explains it as it is. So, Maharaj Citraketu, hearing this knowledge of the soul, he gave up his material attachment. Why? Because he was hearing from such a powerful personality like Narada Muni. Narada Muni then initiated him into the mantra of the holy names. It's explained in a very short time, chanting the holy names. then Maharaj Citraketu, he became a self-realized soul, so much so that in this very body, he was able to have the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave him the same knowledge of Atma Tattva. So, again, we who have come in this human body, and then we come to devotional life, then having the opportunity, we should hold on, and that there's nothing else. Those of you who are watching, all religious personalities, but Jesus Christ, he wanted that we give everything. We give everything to him. Love God with all your heart, all your might, all your soul. Very simple, but very profound. Extraordinary deep. Love God with all your heart. That means in your heart, there should be nothing for material attachment. In your heart, no material attachment. All your heart, all your might, your endeavors. That all your endeavors with your body, with your mind, with your mood should be for one God. And all your soul. Means in the deepest recesses in your heart, then you should have only one thing, love of God. And then why do we love everybody? Because everybody is a part of God. First you go to the center to love God. And then after that, automatically you love God, you will love all the parts and parcels. And having that love, then the by commitment, the secondary effect is that you have compassion for others. So love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's compassion. You see, Jesus Christ has said everything. But how many of us are following? How many of us are following? Instead we engage in so much politics and this attachment. And then we who take to the devotional path, who have everything laid out for us, we should take advantage and step by step follow this teaching of Jesus Christ. Love God with all your heart, all your might, all your soul. Now, our heart's love to God may be 5%, 10%, 15%. That's okay. We have to start from somewhere. And then you develop it to 20%, then 25%, then gradually, by the process of sadhana bhakti, seva, by process of devotional activities, service to the saintly personalities, and association with saints. And in this way, gradually come to the point of loving God with all the heart, all the might, all soul. Means 100% for God. And if you have 100% for God, if you water the roots of the tree, automatically the rest of the tree, the leaves, the flowers, everything will be nourished and will have love for all others, will honor all. So this teaching, Citraketu Maharaja, he received from Narada Muni and also from the Supreme Lord, and now this is coming down to us. That this is real religion, this is real spirituality. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hindu, actually God is one, and the teachings are one. But why we create so much division? Because we are not one. We are not loving God with all our heart, all our might, all our soul, so we cannot see our neighbor and see them and love them as we love ourselves. So, in this way, Citraketu Maharaja, he gives these teachings, and now I want to call, the person who saved me. That when I was away preaching, the person who took care of my mother better than I took care of my mother, actually. He took care of her better, because I'm a very impersonal guy. So I'd like to call my God uncle, His Grace, Gajahanta Prabhu.